Hi, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for stopping by. This week's project, we're going to use up some scrap resin. I generate a lot of little overpours of scrap resin from some of the hybrid burl and resin bowls and pieces that I do, and I don't want to throw them out. I always try to mix a little more than I need because I find it's difficult to mix the colors exactly the way that you had it when you cast the original piece, and so I always rather have a little bit more left over than be short and have to try and match it and potentially get a witness line if I have to cast it in 2 castings. But so this week I'm going to take this little piece that was in green and I'm going to make a bell out of it. And I did a piece very similar to this color a couple of weeks ago. I'll leave a link in the description to that one where I made a Christmas tree. So we're going to get this one on and we're going to turn a bell. Now I've marked this. I found center on both sides with a center finder and just etched it with a knife. I'm going to put it between centers and get a tenon on it, and we'll see how we make out. Alright, so I've got the inside hollowed out. I've sanded it up to 320. I'm going to give it an application of Yorkshire Grit regular and a couple applications of Yorkshire Grit microfine. That'll get the inside finished. Now when we put the handle on, I'll show you how I'm going to turn that off. So there's going to be a handle. The tenon on the handle will come out in the top of the bell in the inside. So we're going to turn that off and we'll finish that up afterwards, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Alright, I'm just finishing up here with the microfine now, and some people wonder why you would put that kind of a finish on the inside, and if you're making it for yourself, it's entirely up to you, but if you're making this to sell, I guarantee you the first thing that people are going to do when they pick up an ornament like this, or any piece that you turn, bowls or otherwise, vases, they're going to look at the bottom, especially turners. We'll look at the bottom to see what kind of a finish you put on that. So it just kind of elevates your prices and elevates your quality of work if you put the time into the places that people don't see, because they will see them. Alright, so that's the inside finish, and it is really nice. So the walls are very consistent thickness all the way through, so it lets the same amount of light in, because this is translucent on purpose. I did leave enough up here where we drilled the initial hole through for the tenon from the handle to come down, so that I can't see the handle through the resin, I hope. But not necessarily. We'll find out when we get there. Alright, so when I remount this, I'm going to have access to the entire outside. So the bottom edge and the inside is completely done. My hole is drilled through to about here. So I'm just going to part this off now. And if you do much work with resin and you want to part resin, this Easy Wood Tools carbide parting tool is fantastic. It has a negative rake on it, and you see how nice that peels that off there. All right, I'm just going to back my tool rest out a little bit here, a very little bit. Turn the speed down so that I can catch it. Left hand on the parting tool, right hand to catch. Okay, got a piece of maple mounted up here in the 4-jaw chuck, and got the center in it just to stabilize things up here. So we'll turn this around, we'll put a tenon on the end and fit it to the bell. And that is very close. I'm going to put some Starbond thick on the tenon. I'll put activator on the bell itself, and we'll push them together. Okay, so I finish up the inside of the bottom of the tenon, in the bottom of the bell, at the top of the inside of the bell. And now I'm just going to put on some Hampshire Sheen high gloss for a finish. Alright, so now we're all done on the inside. This is just one of my sphere centers. I'm going to bring it back up in just to keep things nice and stable while I'm turning the outside. You can use a tennis ball or whatever you like for this. This won't mark. All right, I've got things polished up here pretty good now. A couple of applications of regular Yorkshire grit, a couple applications of microfine. I'm going to start shaping up the handle. Now there's a knot in here that I want to avoid, and I don't think my handle's going to be any longer than that anyhow. Well, it won't be. So I'm just going to knock this down with the skew just to get it down to the right diameter, and I'm not going to put a real complicated profile on this handle. I just want to put a nice little rounded in handle. That knot is going to go away, so I can take this down a little further. I want to stay off of my resin. Decided I don't like this little detail right here, so I'm going to remove it. All right, everything's now sanded and polished up except for the very end of the handle, which I'm going to finish up here shortly. But before I do that, in case I get too thin, I am going to turn it as small as I can. And if I don't go too far, I'll be able to sand this very little end again and leave myself the smallest little piece possible to finish off by hand. So I'm going to put some Hampshire Sheen high gloss on this now, and then I'll go back and I'm going to turn this down smaller and sand it and go through the whole finishing process again with this little piece at the end, and then we'll part it off. If you're still with me, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to everyone who's subscribed to the channel and who watches the videos. I appreciate that a ton as well. If you like what you saw and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. That would help a lot. And please do leave a comment, a thumbs up or thumbs down if you liked or disliked the video. Let me know what you think. Okay, let's give this a little buff with a piece of sandpaper. We're all set. I'll clean it all up. I know someone will ask if I'm going to put a clapper in this, and I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because I don't want that resin getting all dinged up and potentially shattering from somebody clanging it too hard. So I'm just going to wipe the residue out of the inside, and I'll just buff this off. And I'll put some pictures up at the end, and we'll see you next time.